Okay, what can I tell you? When we came and did our 10 days intensive training to learn how to care for our dogs, a group of women, we all were 6 women who did everything together for 10 days. And we became close friends, and we still are in a text chat group together, and everyone supports each other. And it's a real beautiful thing. We were 6 different individuals with different beliefs and different lifestyles, and we all came together as one. And one of the closest people I got with was Kim, and she served in the Air Force for 21 years as a force support officer. During her service, she deployed 4 times in support of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. She retired honorably at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Everyone, please rise and join me in welcoming one of our nation's finest, Kim Bain. Fame Bain.
Get this unwrinkled. It was in my pocket. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I am truly grateful to be here to speak with you tonight and share with you how Jackson has profoundly changed my life, and to thank those who made this life-changing gift possible. I'd like to start with a caveat or two. First is, every time I speak about Jackson, I say I'm not going to cry and I'm not going to get choked up, and I always do, so I'm sure I'm going to tonight. But please don't feel sad for me. They are tears of happiness and gratitude. The second thing I want to say is that somebody told Jackson that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. He's not been on his best behavior. We live on 40 acres in Illinois, and this is quite a change for him. The first night we were here, he decided it would be a good idea to get up and go venture to the next table over. The second day we were here, he decided he was going to get on someone else's golf cart and go for a ride without his mom. And then today, he met a sweet black lab named Vivian, and he had a really good time. Okay. All right. As Rosie said, I served my country in the Air Force for 21 years, and I would gladly do it all again. I was stationed at 7 bases, saw 9 countries. I worked for 2 presidents as a White House social aide and was selected to be a squadron commander twice. And let's not forget about those 4 all-expense-paid vacations to the Middle East. During my time, I went to Qatar, the UAE, and Iraq. During my time in Iraq, I lived and worked 100 yards from the infamous burn pits for 8 months, likely the cause of my spinal cord tumor. While in Iraq, our base took daily mortar and missile rounds. Because of that, I now have hypersensitive hyperstartle reflex. On 2 of my deployments, I was the officer in charge of mortuary operations, where we ensured our fallen comrades were properly prepared for their last flights home. This duty was by far my most honorable and rewarding duty of my career, but has left me with memories, sights, smells, and feelings that are impossible to forget. But don't worry, I have Jackson now. Jackson provides not only mobility support and counterbalance, but also daily emotional support for my PTSD. So that you can fully understand the impact Jackson has made on my life, I need to share with you a little bit about my disability and limitations. After my spinal cord tumor removal from my back, I was left with sensory and motor deficits. I spent a few days in the ICU, moved to the step-down unit for a week, and then went to inpatient rehab to learn to walk again. And by the time I went home, I was walking about 30 to 40 feet without a walker. Over the next couple years, I eventually built up to walking without a walker and walked further and further. After 2 years, the doctor said I was at my new baseline and I would not regain any further motor or sensory function. At 4 years, the tumor came back. I had radiation treatments that set me back to a new, slower baseline. I've always tried to look on the bright side of things, and luckily for me, I still have motor nerves at work and allow me to move my limbs so I can still walk, so I'm very blessed by that. However, my sensory nerves, the ones that allow you to feel, are severely affected. I can't feel from my mid-chest down. Sit. Goodbye. So how do you explain to folks what it's like to be able to walk but not feel your legs? There's two ways that I can describe it. The first one is if you've ever had dental work, you know how they inject nerve pain and you feel like you can't feel your mouth anymore. You can still talk and you can still move it, but you can't feel it, and it feels like a big fat lip. That's how my legs feel. I can move them, they're numb, but they feel huge, like huge tree stumps. I can look at them and know that they're not, but that's how they feel. For those of you who have never done dental work done, the other way I can describe it, if you've ever fallen asleep on your arm and you wake up and it's tingling, that's how it feels. You try to shake it out to get the blood flow back going. But when I shake out my legs, nothing happens. My legs are in a constant state of being asleep, tingly, like 1,000 pinpricks constantly poking in my skin while trying to will what feels like lumbering huge elephant legs to move forward. Because of my motor deficits, I had to retrain my brain to walk. Walking, much like breathing, is second nature to everyone. But for me, every step is calculated. I literally have to think, let's take a step forward. Let's take another step forward. Another. You guys get the point. All while making sure my feet are flat on the ground. On good days, walking feels like walking on a dry, sandy beach where your feet sink in and the sand creates a drag. Challenging, but doable. On the really hard days, it feels like I'm walking in quicksand up to my waist. Add to this challenge that I can't feel if my feet are flat on the ground, making balance very hard. Even the slightest quarter-inch variation can cause me to turn my ankle. Before Jackson, I fell frequently, sprained my ankle 3 times, and broke my foot, all while walking on flat ground. Before I got Jackson, just thinking about going out of the house was emotionally exhausting. Simple everyday events like going shopping with your daughter, attending your kid's sporting event, lunch with friends, attending a craft fair, going to the movies, a quick trip to the grocery store, all turned into over-planning, overthinking, and just, in general, overwhelming events. Will there be parking close to the door? Will it be crowded? Will people bump into me and cause me to fall? Will my family mind if I have a death grip on their arm the whole time? How far are the bathrooms? Where's the closest exit? Can we sit on an end row, or do I have to trip over people to sit down? Will there be lots of steps? Will there be a sidewalk or an uneven trail? Will it be wet? Can I slip? How far do we have to walk? Will everyone be walking fast and I'm gonna slow the group down? What if I have a PTSD trigger? Sometimes it was easier just not to go. I missed out on things, mostly with friends. My family has always been supportive and encouraging for me to go to all events, gladly letting me hold on to them wherever we went. Although sometimes I could tell they just wanted to be free to enjoy the event without me latched onto their arms. They wanted things to be back to normal before the way things were before my spinal cord tumor. And I can't blame them. I wanted it back to normal too. It's one thing to have, okay. Thanks. It's one thing to have a disability yourself, but when your disability starts impacting others' quality of life, it just hits different. I never wanted to be a burden to my family or friends, so I just started making excuses not to go places. And soon, invitations to go do things dwindled. And then fate intervened. I thought about getting a service dog, but like many who go through the process, I thought someone needs this dog worse than me. However, the universe had other plans. One fateful day, my husband was on a business trip working out in the middle of the day in a random gym in Texas, and he thought he recognized this person in his conference also working out in the gym. Okay, now I just have to pause and say, my husband is right there, and I love him to death. Yes. He's never once made me feel like a burden. He's my biggest cheerleader, my biggest fan, and always looking out for me. With that said, let's see, where am I? With that said, he does have some quirks, even though I love him to death. So one of them is, no matter where we go, we can go to the store and be like, hey, I know that girl. I knew her from high school. I'm going to go talk to her. We go out to dinner. He's like, I know that guy. I used to work with him. We're in the airport. Whatever. Wherever we go, he thinks he knows someone. And really, I'm just like, it just became a game to me. I stopped trying to tell him, don't go talk to those people, right? And about 50% of the time, he was right. Well, thank goodness Bill kept being Bill, because that day in the gym, he strode over to this gentleman, who I might add, had a mighty fine, high and tight haircut, and introduced him to my husband, and my husband introduced himself. Well, Bill was wrong. That guy wasn't in his conference. But both of them being equally social guys, they chatted up a storm and discussed their professions. This guy told Bill he trained service dogs for blind, autistic children, and facility dogs and veterans. And Bill, always looking out for me, was like, hey, I got a wife. She can use one of those. And of course, the guy said, yeah, we got a dog for that. For those of you who don't know, that gentleman was Russ Gitlin. The next thing you know, after much hounding from Russ, texts and phone calls, why haven't you applied yet? Let's get your application in. I finally applied, and I was accepted into the program. While waiting to be matched, I went into a couple of fundraisers and spoke. And at one of the fundraisers, Russ was there and traveling with a sweet black lab named Jackson. Yes, this Jackson right here. Little did I know, 8 months later, I'd be flying to California and matched with this gentle giant. Now, a lot, as you know, goes into matching. You don't pick your dogs, the trainers pick your dogs, and there's so much that goes into this. So I knew that Jackson being the first dog I met and being matched to him was something really special. And once again, I just knew it was fate. So that brings us to the here and now and how my life has changed with Jackson. For starters, I no longer have to go through that silly list of questions to go out. The only question I have to ask myself is, do I want to go or not? I no longer feel like a burden to my family and friends. They can enjoy the event without worrying if I need to hold on to them. Jackson creates a buffer in crowds for me, which prevents people from bumping into me and causing me to fall. He helps me traverse uneven ground and stairs. I don't have to worry about the logistics of parking and bathroom and seating assignments. Jackson's like having a walking billboard that announces to the world she's different. I don't have to explain my disability. People just give me space and grace, knowing that something's different. I am but one person that you all have changed, whose life you've changed. Over the years, GDA, TLC has matched hundreds of service teams. I reached out to some of my fellow graduates and asked them if you could describe in just one word how your service dog has impacted you, what would your word be? And this is their list: confidence, compassion, independent, community, best friend, fulfilled, empowered, calmed, loved, energized, liberated, autonomy, self-assured, stress-free, calm, and normalized are just a few of the words. You all did that. You changed these people's lives, and you changed my life. Your fundraising efforts have reached far and wide. One dog, one person, one family at a time. You can put a number on how many teams you've graduated, but what you can't put a number on is how these dogs make life possible again, make life worth living again. How it's put a bounce back in my step, albeit slow. For me, that one word is freedom. Nothing is more important to me than the freedoms we have in this country. I, along with my fellow service members, believe that so much, we wrote a blank check to the United States saying we'd lay down our lives to defend our freedoms. Thankfully, I did not lose my life, but my service-connected disability did force me to give up a lot and limit me in many ways and my freedom. Having Jackson by my side allows me to do what I want, when I want, without thinking about it. He has returned the balance to my life of being able just to get up and go. I'm free. When I'm with him, my disability is more an afterthought. Between the two of us, we have good legs to go wherever we want. He's my built-in best friend that keeps me in the present when PTSD wants to pull me to the past. When people in this country find out I'm a disabled vet, many thank me for my service in protecting this country and their freedom, for being a hero. Well, tonight isn't about me. It's about all of you who made Jackson possible for me, for making me whole again. I know for every one of you sitting here tonight, there are hundreds more volunteers putting on fundraisers throughout the year. I've been to those fundraisers. I've seen firsthand the tremendous amount of time and effort and energy putting into raising money to support this organization. I'm so very grateful for every last one of you. My hope is you'll go back and tell those you work with and the volunteers that help with all these fundraisers that their dedication is helping transform lives. Simply put, they're the reason people get to live again. Everyone here tonight involved in this organization that's become like family to me, from volunteers, puppy raisers, vet staff, GDA trainers, marketing, incarcerated trainers, support staff. There's so many to name, and I know I'm missing some, and I'm sorry. Just know your work here is life-changing on so many levels and reaches so far past the dog and their handler. You have built and are part of an organization on par with some of the most well-oiled air-based wings I've seen in the Air Force. You are all laser-focused on your mission to transform lives. Your professionalism is unrivaled, and your dedication is unmatched. Every person on this team is truly amazing. It's evident you are passionate about what you do, everyday Americans doing extraordinary things, proving you don't have to put on a uniform to serve your country or be a hero. As I said before, tonight is not about me. It's about all of you who made Jackson possible. There aren't words to adequately thank you, but please know I'm eternally grateful for your gift. It provides me protection and safety, and it's given me my freedom back. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you for being my hero. Thank you.